Hi everyone, this is Allison from QuiltNCode, and this is the Starlight mini mystery quilt from M50 and QuiltNCode. I have turned this quilt into a project bag, and I have all the instructions in a free pattern for you to download right underneath this video. All right, so I want to get started, but first, if you like these videos, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment in the comment section. All right, let's get started. First thing I do is I lay everything out and I sort of look at what I have the most of and what I don't. And that way when I'm choosing to make my pieces and cut out my pieces, I know what I have in stock. I have taken this and I'm going to add 1¼ inch strips to the side, and I got lucky because I was able to go ahead and do a full piece of that. But up here on the top and the bottom, I need to have a 2¼ inch strip, and I do not have the length that I need. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to put these together. I like to use mitered strips because they seem to hold together better and it just looks neater. And so I am going to take my pieces and I'm placing them right sides together perpendicularly, and I'm going to draw a line right here just like that. And if I want to make sure I'm going in the right direction, then I can simply stick my ruler like that, and I can see that I'm going to have a nice long strip after that. Okay, once I've gotten that line in place, I want to make sure I put a couple of pins before I stitch because I don't want that line going anywhere, and I like to put my pins on either side, and that way I can stitch right across without having to worry about going over any pins. And I think I'm going to start with the sides, and I'm going to sew the sides together, and then I'm going to add the top. I'm just using a 1/4 inch. So this is the lining. If I'm going to go ahead and quilt my quilt top to this lining, I would use it now and then trim everything down. We're working on the handle now, and as you can see, I had to piece one. I actually pieced two. I messed up the other one as well. And so now that I have my piece 21 inches perfectly, I am going to turn this over, and I am on one side. This is a perfect time for you to use up all these scraps that you have for your interfacing. And so this is just a lightweight interfacing, and I'm going to place that on one side of my handle. To put in this fusible fleece. It just gives the handle a real nice weight to it. I love this project because I'm using up all the scraps that I have from that beautiful quilt top. Okay, so once I get those down, now I am going to fold over just to that interfacing, just like that. And you see I'm not going all the way to the center. I'm just going to the edge of that interfacing and covering up that interfacing. And then I'm gonna, when I'm ironing this, I like to make sure that I still don't go on to that interfacing, because even now that it's ironed down, it will still give me a fit if I touch it. I have ironed this really well, and now I'm going to turn it over like this, and I've pressed it really well here too. And now I'm going to go and do a top stitch on either side. I like to do, a little bit more than 1/8, but less than 1/4 if that helps you. And all it does is stitch this down so that I don't have to. And if I put one on the other side, it also looks really great. So you can see I do a little bit more than 1/8, but less than 1/4 on each side. And that just holds everything close so that I don't have to. These are all the pieces that I have that I'm going to use. They're going to either go against the zipper or they're going to go next to the vinyl. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray the mess out of these guys. I'm using Magic Quilting and Crafting Spray. You could starch it, you could, whatever it is that you use to give a little stiffness to your fabric. I have tacked the bottom of the zipper, or one end of the zipper here, and then I calculated, because this was a long zipper, and went ahead and marked here and went ahead and I did a zigzag on either line. That way I don't have to worry about this zipper coming off while I'm stitching with it, and it's staying together here when I want to put my tabs on. We have our 4 little pieces here that are for our tabs, and what we're going to do is we're going to place them just like that, and you're really okay with, and I want to sandwich it. You'll see that I've gone outside of the zipper here, and I've gone really long, and that's because when we're done, I want to be able to trim down versus having to worry about making sure I have enough. So you can see how I have about 1/2 inch there, and that's perfect. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to open this up just like this. And I like to just give it a little press in place. And so now I can trim this. I'm going to start with the sides and just trim off these sides a little bit. Just trim off whatever I need to on the ends to get it to that size. Lots of people are afraid of zippers, but this method makes it easy. And so you can see how I'm going to be able to pull those pins out as I go. I'm also starting at the end that doesn't have the zipper. I'm going to want to move that zipper into the center, and I'll show you that in just a second, just so I can not have any bulk. All right, so I am lining up with the edge of my presser foot right here, and then the groove in the zipper foot is going to go right along my zipper. I'm about halfway through, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the zipper pull, and I'm going to pull it all the way down to the end, and that will relieve all the bulk of going over that zipper. So we're going to call this the zipper unit, and I am going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a nice iron. I am using a vinyl that is quite on the thick side, and the one thing that I have found difficult about this is that I can't see it. And so I don't like to stitch into this or put pins into this more than I have to. And so I am not pinning it down, but I have measured exactly for my sides so that I know they match up. You may find it easier to use an even feed or a walking foot to do this step. I have found that as long as I keep the vinyl to the feed dogs and my piece up here on top, and now that it is nicely pressed with my magic spray, I have not had any problems. First thing I've done is I've gone ahead and put my needle down. That way I can sort of butt everything up against the needle. And then I'm placing my fabric, and I'm using a lot of feel with this finger to see where that vinyl is. And don't worry, I have my reading glasses on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. And then as I go, I do a lot of shifting of the fabric just to make sure I really do have that vinyl underway. And I am doing a lot of feeling with my finger. And I'm taking it slow. All right, so I've put on the sides, and then I went ahead and added my bottom, and then I'm going to add my zipper unit to my vinyl unit. Is that I want to make sure that my zipper pull is going in to the right, and so I smaller piece toward my vinyl unit. And then I'm gonna stick this right on here, pin this one, and I'm actually gonna pin it twice because I wanna make sure I'm really off to a good start since I can't see that silly vinyl. So I'm gonna put 2 pins here, and then at the end, I'm gonna put 2 pins. And that way I am definitely lined up. I may have some struggles in the center area here, so I will go slow, making sure I can see that vinyl. All right, I am going to put my handle on first. I am starting with my folded piece toward me, and then I take my ends and I move them like this so that I am 5.5 inches away from, just like that, away from the edge. And then I'm going to pin this baby in place, and I'm going to do the same thing with this handle over here. I went ahead and basted my handle so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay, and then I put my lining face down onto the table and placed my quilt top on top of it. If you have quilted the lining to your quilt top, you don't have to worry about that step. And then I'm going to place the vinyl unit right sides together to the quilt top. I'm going to pin this in place really well, and then I'm going to stitch around it. This step is going to use a 3/8 seam allowance. So I've gone ahead and prepared my needle for that, and then I'm going to stitch all the way around. Now that I've stitched all the way around, I'm going to double check all the way around on both sides to make sure that I caught all my fabric. The last thing I want to do is open up my bag and realize I have a hole in the side. And then I'm going to clip my corners here, and then we can turn it inside out for the big reveal. I like to start by opening up the zipper all the way, going to the farthest corner, and then I can just pull it on through. And once I get these corners picked out just the way I want, I am going to turn this in, make sure everything is nice and flat. I might even give it a little bit of a press around the edges, and then I'm going to do a nice top stitch all the way around, and our bag is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on the project bag going with the mini mystery of MysteryFive-0, Starlight, and Starbright quilts. If you have and you would like to join us for those mini mysteries, then check out our website at QuiltNCode.com. We'll leave a link in the comment section below. And if you've enjoyed these videos, make sure you have subscribed, you have liked, and you have commented. We hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.